The Wall Street Journal today has confirmed what many Americans have long suspected. The White House is essentially operating without a president. Aides controlling access, meetings rescheduled when he's having off days, handlers repeating basic instructions about where to walk and stand. But while Biden stumbles, Trump soars. Named Person of the Year by both Time and Financial Times. Two leaders, two completely different trajectories, and tonight we have the truth. And it proves what's really happening behind the White House. And you know what hurts more than watching Biden's cognitive decline? Living with chronic pain. While the White House staff scrambles to manage Biden's limitations, millions of Americans struggle with daily discomfort. And just as Trump offers hope for America's future, Conolidine offers hope for pain sufferers. This revolutionary 100% drug-free compound, it optimizes your body's natural painkillers, providing relief without side effects. Over 1 million Americans, including professional athletes, they trust Conolidine. So visit trycono.com/NNN. It's linked down below and experience what pain-free living feels like. You have nothing to lose but your pain. Now, just the other day, James O'Keefe, he struck deep into the deep state, right to the heart of the White House. And we're going to play just a clip of this. I know we played it before, but it's all part of the story. Wall Street Journal. But the Wall Street Journal story has now just come out. It's only confirming what we've all been saying. And with James O'Keefe's report, internally, now we know specifically, we have words, we have a face. It's not just black and white ink in the Wall Street Journal, right? Let's watch.
Want a foreign.
Well, here's something. Joe Biden is like dead. He can't say his sentence. He's like really progressed in his holding. Everybody recognized. I can't believe it wasn't a bigger scandal there. He'll be dead in a year.
Meet Henry Appel, an advisor.
Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what Appel said? Henry Appel? He said Joe Biden will be dead in a year. Let that sink in.
For the National Security Council, Henry Appel shared that President Biden had called the NSC White House phone while on a foreign trip looking for NSC advisor Jake Sullivan. Henry told the president that, in fact, Mr. Sullivan was not at the White House, but on the same foreign trip as President Biden.
My boss was on an international trip with him, like in Europe or something. The phone rang in the office, and I was like, "Oh, Mr. President, it's Henry." He was like, "He's safe there." He's like, "No, he's traveling with you. He's on the same trip that you are."
In another encounter with President Biden, Henry Appel from the National Security Council revealed a phone call exchange. On the call, Biden was asking for NSC advisor Jake Sullivan. Henry told Biden that Sullivan had left the office for the day. Biden stated he would call Sullivan's personal phone. Instead, Biden called the same office 10 seconds later, asking for Sullivan again.
A couple weeks ago, I was like the last one in the office. They made me call from my boss. And so I picked the phone and said, "Hello, Mr. President, it's Henry on Jake's phone. He's left for the day, but I can try to get him on the line for you." And he asked me some questions, and I was like, "I don't know, let me get the track him down. So I'll call his Secret Service detail." It's like, I'll try his unclassified phone, then 10 seconds later, same phone. I picked it up again. I was like, "Hi again, it's Henry." He was like, "Is Jake there?" And I was like, "No, you called the same office."
Henry Appel stated that President Biden did not understand basic words in meetings at the White House.
Another time my boss went in to brief him, I had written the talking points. I said, "Oh, this is like a novel phenomenon or something. It's new, it hasn't been done before." My boss said it. I was just like novel? What do you mean, a book? What do you mean novel? The two meanings of the word novel, he lost them.
Henry even goes on to say, on his dating profile, his greatest strength is, quote, oversharing on the first date. You can't make this shit up. Henry Appel states that we, referring to his team at the National Security Council, were crying the night of Trump's victory, claiming they are all, quote, trauma bonded.
So everybody's probably like juicy drums right now, right? What?
No, wait, it's like drawn us closer to each other because like we're all going through it together.
We shared trauma.
Yeah.
It's a big trauma bond.
We're trauma bonded, yeah.
They're trauma bonded. Oh, because Trump won, right? Well, Jesse Waters, listen to this. Just 1 hour ago, Jesse Waters says, bad news. Joe Biden is delaying his retirement to clean up his legacy, both the election loss and Biden out to pasture. Democrats are leaking like a busted sink. In a bombshell report, over 50 Biden insiders told the Wall Street Journal Joe was even worse than we thought. Biden treated his cabinet the same he treated his estranged granddaughter, cold shoulder. When they could meet with him, they were told to keep it simple so Biden could focus. Oh boy, it's bad, folks. It's worse than we could have ever imagined.
The country forgot Joe Biden's still president. But today his approval rating hit an all-time low, 34%.
As you prepare to leave the White House, any other regrets that you have, anything you wish you would have done differently?
Well, I guess if I thought a lot about it, it'd be something I would have specifically done, but not generically.
No regrets. Biden won't take this new poll well. He's obsessed with what people think of him.
When history is all told, how do you want to be remembered? What do you want your legacy to be?
I kept my word that when I said I was going to do something, I did.
Now I don't know what Jesse's going to say here, but I'm going right to the Hunter Biden pardon with this one, folks. Okay, let's see what Jesse has to say.
Biden lied almost about everything, including pardoning Hunter. History's not going to forgive that. So Biden's delaying his retirement to clean up his legacy.
I'm not going away. I'm going to be deeply involved in the environmental movement, deeply involved in foreign policy, deeply involved in all the things I've been involved in before.
We don't know what Joe's going to do with the environment or foreign policy, and neither does he. The big guy isn't even working now. What makes you think he's going to do anything after January? But this is exactly how Biden's team likes it. Keep Joe far away from the spotlight.
They don't want to end his presidency with one last humiliation. So they just made the decision to keep him away. And to me, I've been sad about it. I've been angry about it. Just really disappointed as a Democrat.
Oh, with the election lost and Biden put out to pasture, Democrats are leaking like a busted sink. The Wall Street Journal talked to more than 50 Biden insiders to find out what's really been going on in the White House for the last 4 years. This bombshell report reveals Biden was even worse than we thought. Joe was AWOL most of his presidency.
Wow.
During major disasters like the Afghanistan withdrawal, congressional leaders couldn't even get a hold of him. The Secretary of Defense almost never met with Biden, even during the Ukraine and Mideast wars. Biden treated his cabinet the same way he treated his illegitimate granddaughter, cold shoulder. Interactions between Biden and many of his cabinet members were relatively infrequent and often tightly scripted. At least one cabinet member stopped requesting calls with the president because it was clear that such requests wouldn't be welcome.
Wow.
When people did meet with Biden, which was rare, they were told to keep it simple so Biden could focus. But most of the time, Biden didn't want to talk. If the president was having an off day, meetings could be scrapped altogether. On one such occasion, a national security official explained to another aide why a meeting needed to be rescheduled. He has good days and bad days, and today was a bad day, so we're going to address this tomorrow.
Oh, just based on if he's having a good day or a bad day. Well, here we have this post. If Trump wants to investigate someone legitimately, investigate Jill Biden and the people around POTUS 46 for keeping an individual in cognitive decline in charge of the nuclear codes. This is Jason, at Jason. I don't know who at Jason. Jason All In. Who's Jason All In? Wow, he's almost got 1 million followers on X. First investor in Athena. Wow. Startup guy. Wow, this guy's got some clout. He says, my gut tells me this Wall Street Journal report is the tip of the iceberg. And he has a screenshot. Presidents always have gatekeepers, but in Biden's case, the walls around him were higher and the controls greater, according to Democrat lawmakers, donors, and aides who worked for Biden and other administrations. There were limits over who Biden spoke with, limits on what they said to him, limits around the sources of information he consumed. Throughout his presidency, a small group of aides stuck close to Biden to assist him, especially when traveling or speaking to the public. They body him to such a high degree, a person who witnessed it said, adding that the hand-holding is unlike anything other recent presidents have had. And I go back to what we just saw with James O'Keefe and the National Security Council advisor. I mean, the fact that James O'Keefe got that undercover video and then this Wall Street piece comes out, Wall Street Journal piece, boom! And that advisor says Biden's going to be dead in a year. Now, how sad is that? I wish no ill will against Joe Biden. I wish him a long life. I wish him health. I wish that he would go and visit that granddaughter that Hunter had with the stripper while he was on a coke bender. I wish they would put a stocking up there for her on the White House mantle. But I digress. You know, we have to pray for our enemies, regardless. Of course, we all want justice. We all want justice. Justice is coming. It moves slowly, but it's coming. And the justice, it may not come in the form of Kash Patel launching investigations. It may not come in the form of Trump investigating someone legitimately like Jill Biden. But it'll come in the form of reports like this from the Wall Street Journal. It'll come in the form of undercover reports like James O'Keefe has presented to us. Because that justice is the vindication of years and years of being told that our eyes were lying to us. That everything we saw, when you have Joe Biden falling down, riding a bike because he's just not capable. When he's falling up the stairs on Air Force One because his gait is compromised due to his condition. But they won't tell you the condition. Oh, everything's fine. This is the saddest part of this administration. This is a heartbreaking moment for America. Literally, my heart is breaking for this country. Because for the last 4 years, we have not been led by anyone except for the puppet masters behind the scenes. And that's why things are going to change now. Ben Williamson posting this. In light of today's Wall Street Journal report exposing Biden is completely unable to do the job of president for the last 4 years, I once again raise you this June 17, 2024 report from Nicole Wallace, who spoke about a Republican plot to create insidious cheap fakes, painting Biden is unfit. The media has a role to play in this, and they're just as guilty as those shielding Biden in the White House. Just as guilty. It's because they work for the swamp. They work for the deep state. They do not have your interests in mind, only theirs.
Posts. There's a growing and insidious trend in right-wing media, broadcast, print, and social media. It is to take highly misleading and selectively edited videos of President Biden directly from Republican National Committee social media accounts and then use those videos to spread messages virally to cast doubt on President Biden's fitness for office. Here is this headline from the New York Post, quote, Biden appears to freeze up, has to be led off stage by Obama at Megabucks LA fundraiser. The full video posted by Biden finance chair on Twitter shows something entirely different. Oh, really? Biden reacting to applause and then walking off stage with former President Obama. It comes less than 1 week.
But she didn't. What she left out there, you guys all saw it. You remember. Obama had to lead Biden off the stage. Had to grab him. and guide him off the stage. She left that out. The media's been lying to us. We've been trying to sound the alarm. And now the Wall Street Journal blowing the whistle. James O'Keefe blowing the whistle. Here's more from Ben Williamson. March 12, 2024, Adam Schiff makes a public show of criticizing Robert Hur for including Biden's poor mental state in the Hur report. March 12th. Okay? That video from Ben Williamson, he said this video here from MSNBC, this was from June 17th of 2024. But then we have this, March 12th. This, you guys know, this has been going on forever.
You could have said, you don't, in the rules, Mr. Hur, what is in the rules is you don't gratuitously do things to prejudice the subject of an investigation when you're declining to prosecute. You don't gratuitously add language that you know will be useful in a political campaign. You were not born yesterday. You understood exactly what you were doing. It was a choice. You certainly didn't have to include that language. You could have said, vis-a-vis the documents that were found at the university, the president did not recall. There is nothing more common. You know this. I know this. There is nothing more common with a witness of any age when asked about events that are years old to say, I do not recall. Indeed, they're instructed by their attorney to do that if they have any question about it. You understood that. You made a choice. That was a political choice. It was the wrong choice. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Yeah, Adam Schiff, get that pardon request ready. Oh, Hur didn't have to include that language? Maybe he did because of Biden's performance was so bad in those interviews, he had no choice but to include it. And now the Wall Street Journal confirming it all. Oh, it is outrageous. Peter J. Hassan providing some context. Spring break 2021, Biden officials cancel his national security meetings based on whether he's having a good day or bad day. August 2021, Cecilia, CNN analyst, says GOP questions Biden fitness are gross, lowest common denominator politics. 2021. Look at this. And then 9 hours ago, Chris Silesia, however you say his name, an apology as a journalist, I should have pushed harder on the very real question about Joe Biden's physical and mental health as a president. It's all coming full circle. They know that we're all calling him out. Here it is, August 21. He called it gross, lowest common denominator. But now, 9 hours ago, he's going, sorry. Sorry, folks. Maybe I should have pushed harder. Well, maybe you shouldn't have been carrying water for the Democrat Party. Well, no wonder you're no longer on CNN, right? Ben Williamson, 3 hours ago, in light of today's Wall Street Journal report exposing Biden, I once again raise you this. Okay, this was the Nicole Wallace piece. Again, June 17th. Everyone, 5 hours ago, this guy, old redneck woman too. Everyone shocked about the Wall Street Journal report about the government lying about Biden. Welcome to the party. We've known that for years. No one should be shocked about our government lying about anything. They've done it for decades. Mike Beach. Wall Street Journal drops bombshell report on Thursday revealing how Biden's team protected and hid his decline from the public from day one. The details that should have led to Biden being 25th Amendment. And a symptom of that lack of leadership is the fact that we have crime out of control. We have a border that is wide open. And now, Phil Holloway's saying Alvin Bragg is the reason why 250 National Guard troops will be deployed to New York City subways this Christmas and New Year. Well, I would not necessarily say Alvin Bragg. What about all of the criminal migrants that are pouring into New York because of Joe Biden's lack of leadership?
We're expecting about 7.5 to 8 million more visitors coming to our city, using public transit, taking our buses and subways. as well as walking our streets. We welcome them. We're excited they're here. But I want them to know that when they come through that turnstile, that they will be safe. So today, at this particular time, with this higher volume of visitors and riders, I'm announcing an additional 250 more National Guard to be deployed to help support New York's Joint Task Force Empire Shield. This is the unit that protects our subways, our assets, as well as our streets.
Kathy Hochul deploying the National Guard in New York subways because crime is out of control. She says she wants to keep people safe. Well, she doesn't talk about all the crime. She's talking about all the migrants running wild around that city. Nope. Not at all. Donald Trump posted this a day ago. You know, speaking of lack of leadership, right? We have no one leading in the White House. Donald Trump's not even in the White House yet. And his gravity that he is throwing around is causing Canada to collapse from within. Just the mere utterance of the word tariff, and all of a sudden Canada is collapsing. The entire top tier of the Trudeau government, people calling for Trudeau's resignation. He said this on his Truth Social account: no one can answer why we subsidize Canada to the tune of $100 million a year. Makes no sense. Many Canadians want Canada to become the 51st state. They would save massively on taxes and military protection. I think it's a great idea, 51st state. Now, I mean, this is like an extended troll campaign by continually putting this message out, 51st state, ha ha. You know it'll never happen. It's absolutely impossible for it to happen. But what it does is it keeps it in the news cycle. It keeps the pressure on Canada because they can't take a joke up there. They can't. They see a post on Truth Social, they melt down, and then all of a sudden you got people resigning in the top financial elements of that government because they're afraid to release a budget report. Because Donald Trump's threat of tariffs has exposed the whole game. Now people want Trudeau to resign, and he should. In fact, he should report directly to prison, in my opinion, for what he's done to the Canadian people. MAGA voice. It was 3:30 in the morning when Donald Trump said on Truth Social he thinks Canada should be the 51st state. MAGA voice likes the idea. I don't know. What do you guys? Do you guys think Canada should be the 51st state? I don't know. The Wall Street Journal article now confirming what many long suspected or assumed: there was no president for these last 4 years. It was a president by committee. How the White House functioned with the diminished President Biden in charge. How sad. Chuck Calestro, again, we bring up this point about the migrant caravans that are coming across the border. They are scrambling to get here because there is no leadership, because it's president by committee. Kathy Hochul being forced to dispatch 250 National Guard. Where are all these people going to go? At least Tom Homan is getting the gears in motion. He's already talking to the people in all the different cities. Chicago, New York. He's getting ready. These people should be watching the Next News Network on their government-issued smartphones, because at least they would know what Tom Homan's about to do when they cross that border. Jason Miller, we are so back. Financial Times, Person of the Year, Donald Trump. After the most dramatic comeback in modern U.S. history, the president-elect promises a new era of sweeping deregulation and a profound shift to the cultural right. Financial Times. Financial Times. Aren't these the same outlets? Financial Times, Time Magazine, the same outlets that were trashing Trump all day long. And now is their Person of the Year, front page, front cover. Richard Hanania. How the White House functioned with a diminished president in charge. Now it all comes out. The decline wasn't recent. He's been limited throughout his entire time in office. Oh boy. Here's some of the highlights that now are coming to light. Now that it's okay to admit it, because Biden is just coasting in that wheelchair right out of this administration. these last 30 some odd days. It's fine to come out now. But what happens next? What if this Wall Street Journal report suddenly does trigger some last minute 25th Amendment thing? I mean, hell, they were impeaching Trump on his final days in office. If they were that anxious to make up a bunch of garbage and just force him out immediately through an impeachment. So, I mean, if the Democrats want to do something crazy right now on the way out, well, they could just go ahead and pull the 25th Amendment using the Wall Street Journal as the reason. Maybe they'll show the James O'Keefe video in Congress. And all of a sudden now we got Kamala Harris. She's president for the next 25 days. Right? I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. God knows. At events, aides often repeated instructions such as where to enter or exit a stage. Think about that for a second. Donald Trump. All those videos of Trump mocking Biden about not knowing where to go on a stage. I mean, the joke was getting a little old. Okay, Trump's making the joke again about Joe Biden. He doesn't know where to go on the stage. Well, Wall Street Journal. The aides had to give him instructions on where to enter or exit. That would be obvious to the average person. Biden's team tapped campaign co-chair Jeffrey Katzenberg, a Hollywood mogul, to find a voice coach to improve the president's fading warble. A voice coach was employed. A sign that the bruising presidential schedule needed to be adjusted for Biden's advancing age had arisen early in just the first few months of his term. Now, I remember when he first took office, people were asking me, Gary, how long do you think he's going to run? How long do you think it's going to last? I personally, I said he's not going to last 6 months. I'd be surprised if he'd last a year. And then he persisted. And then we considered the fact that perhaps, I think what was it like? It was like one day if he resigned like one day short of a certain time, then Kamala Harris could in fact become the president, and then she could run again. She could win. She could run for 10 years. She could be president for 10 years theoretically if she ran 2 consecutive winning terms plus the last 2 years of his campaign, or the last 2 years of his administration. Like, these were all things that were being considered because we recognize the gravity of his diminishing health. In just first few months of his term, administration officials noticed the president became tired at meetings if they went long, and then he would start to make mistakes. If the president was having an off day, the meetings would be scrapped altogether. Good days, bad days. Today was a bad day. We're going to address this tomorrow. Blah, blah, blah. At some events, the Biden campaign printed the pre-approved questions. Oh, man, this is so sad. It's so sad what they did to him. Oh, my goodness. This is heartbreaking. At some events, the Biden campaign printed the pre-approved questions on note cards and then gave donors the cards to read the questions. Even with all these steps, Biden made flubs which confounded the donors who knew that Biden had the questions ahead of time. He thought he was going to keep doing this until 2029. Oh, man. This is so sad. And it's just heartbreaking to continue to see this. But who knows what's going to happen next, friends? Matt Kwan, the White House hasn't functioned in at least a year. This graph from the New York Times on 10/31/24 is also the collapse of Biden's executive function. Everyone part of the cover-up is a threat to democracy, starting with the nukes. So here's the graph. 2 years of territorial changes in the Donbass, Ukraine, Russia. This is the graph that is also the collapse of the Biden administration. So it's all now in black and white. Hey, the Wall Street Journal reported it now, so it's fair game, right? But when Gary Franchi brings it up, it's a conspiracy, right? Isn't that how it works? Oh, yeah. We're always ahead of the curve here, folks. We have been. And that's why you watch this channel. We call out these liars, these people deceiving us like this guy right here. We've been calling them out forever. Chickens are coming home to roost. Party's over. And the contrast couldn't be clearer. While Biden's team scrambles to limit his public appearances and script his every move, Donald Trump is commanding stadiums, giving hours-long speeches, and laying out a bold vision for America's future. Wall Street Journal's revelations aren't just embarrassing, they're dangerous for our national security. So here's the question every American needs to ask themselves. If Biden's own staff doesn't trust him to handle basic meetings without extensive preparation and protection, how can we trust him to handle critical decisions about our nation's future? Thankfully, we don't have much longer to wait until Donald Trump gets into office. Because the future is about to change. The other question is, what aren't they telling us about his true condition? You know, it's all going to come out at some point, folks. It's all going to come out. We're going to find out, and we're all going to be proved right again. But I want you to stand with strength, and I want you to show your support for real leadership with our exclusive Mag Avengers gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, because when they try to hide the truth, we at the Next News Network, we bring it to light.